Hey, everybody. Welcome to Yoga for Strength. Today, we're focusing on working towards arm balances. So, before we get started with our practice, a few things I'd like you to keep in mind. One is that we're working towards arm balances. So, creating the strength that you need, both in the wrists and the shoulders, the core, and finding balance is something that we work up to in time. And it doesn't mean that it's something that you should just be doing right away. So if you think about like a baby kind of learning how to like stand, they kind of start crawling, they develop strength, they come up, they stand on the couch or the furniture, kind of draw themselves up. That idea of walking is one foot in front of the other. They kind of pick that up. The standing still is the hard part, finding and figuring out how to balance ourselves. So there are falls that come with babies learning how to walk. There are occasional falls that can come from an arm balance practice. So please be mindful to create the right boundaries for yourself, that you're always working right up to your edge, maybe tippy toeing over that, and then coming back. Because we can build strength and confidence finding how strong we are up to an edge, and then the next day coming back and trying again and finding an edge. And we keep stepping forward like that as smoothly and easily as possible, which is a big part of our yoga practice. An awareness of, where am I today? How does this feel today? How do I lean into my body today or press through my limbs today? So that can change day to day. And we're always working in a place that feels right for you. Anything that feels hot or pinchy or a place that makes you like, curl your eyebrow, that's probably not a great spot to be in as far as finding like an even slow edge. So take your time, come through the practice as evenly as you can, using the breath as your guide. If you can breathe, you're in a good space. If you have to hold your breath, maybe too much today. So starting in a comfortable seated position, you can take those hands out onto the knees. Close your eyes, sitting up nice and tall. And as the hands press down into the knees, feel the shoulder blades kind of squeeze together a little bit down the back. Draw in through the low belly, keeping the ribs back, preventing them from popping forward. Feel the length through the crown of the head, the neck relaxed. Closing your eyes and tapping into the rhythm of your breathing. As your breath moves and your mind starts to focus, is there an intention that you would like to set for today's practice? Is there someone in your life that you'd like to dedicate or offer this time and practice to? Fluttering your eyes open, taking both arms out in front of you. Make some circles in your wrists. So I got a little snap, crackle, pop going on this morning. And you may find that you're feeling or hearing some of those snaps and cracks in the joint. We want to like get those things worked out, get the wrists moving, and then reverse the circles opposite direction. We'll be weight bearing into the hands. It's important that they're warmed up and ready. Reaching those arms out in front of you, press away like into an imaginary wall, round your back. Come back to center, reach the arms back behind you, stretch the chest forward, arms out and back. Back through center again, take those arms, reach them out in front of you, push an imaginary wall away, round the spine. Come back through center, take the hands back behind you, stretch and reach back. And then coming to center, taking the right hand down onto the floor, lift your left arm up and overhead. Reach out through the left fingers as long as you can, keeping that left sit bone grounded. Come back through center. Take the right arm, reach it up towards the sky. Reach from the right fingers up and over, lengthening along that right side. And then back to center. One more time, reach that left arm up and over, reach longer. And think about the ribs going up and out to the side, keeping that C shape. And then back to center. And then one last time, opposite side. The ribs don't go with me. They're going to reach in the opposite direction. The right arm reaches up and over to the left. My ribs reach to the right. And then back to center. Good. One more time. Press the ground. Oh, an imaginary wall away from you, rounding the spine. And then those hands back behind you. Squeeze the shoulder blades together and reach the chest through. Good. Come on back to center. And then in the seated position, give your palms like a squeeze, your fists a squeeze, like you're squeezing in there as tight as you can. And then spread the fingers out wide and the hands forward, squeezing them together, extending them out. So we call these like flashlights. So if you can create that movement of squeeze and release as if you were shining a light, squeeze and release. Make that light bright as the fingers extend out. Holding here. Good. Relax the tension in the neck. Good. Try not to move the elbows. See if you can just squeeze and release, squeeze and release, squeeze and release. Let's hit a few more like this for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Little shake. Arms out in front of you. Reach the palms out. Squeeze and extend. Squeeze and extend. Good. Keep flashing like this. Good. See if you can keep those wrists extended, just like you would if you were in a plank position, squeezing and extending, showing the palms forward. Press and release for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Shaking them out. Good. Taking those palms out to the sides. Press like you're in a side plank. The hands press out to the sides. And we're trying to extend in the wrists. Squeeze the fists. And then release. Squeeze and release. Good. So hopefully you're finding that these are starting to become really challenging. That it's hard to keep the arms extended. It's hard to keep the elbows extended. Good. Reach and flash those fingers. Lift them up to the sky for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good job. Shake them out. All right. We're going to do one more set. This I find for me is the hardest set to do. So getting ready. We'll take both arms up to the sky and then turn the palms to face back behind you. Squeeze and release. Good. So finding those arms reaching up, but the palms stay turning back and we flash those fingers. Good. Extending out to the hands. My left pinky finger eventually is like, I don't want to go anymore. Keep like reaching it out. Keep reaching, reaching, reaching. Extend. Stay with it for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Release in those arms. Good. Take your forearm of your right arm. press it down on your left forearm. You're just going to press and push down towards your hand and maybe back up. You can lean in and lean out, giving a little massage, a little self-care to those forearms from all of that work. Those flashlights are a great thing to do. You can do them seated, you can do them in a chair, on the couch. You know, get out there and move those extensors. Leaning out to the forearm. Again, you can push towards the wrist. You can draw it back towards the elbow, or you can just lean in and out. And then coming back to center, shaking out in the hands. Good, and this time we'll come onto hands and knees. So from hands and knees, placing the palms down. We're gonna press the pinky finger, or excuse me, the pointer finger of your hand down into the mat. So that knuckle, so where the finger meets the palm of the hand, that knuckle right at the palm of the hand, right before the finger starts, is the area that I want you to think about pressing down. So that pointer finger, that presses down. The baby finger side, press that down too. And press through the heel of the hand. So you're spreading the weight out between the heel of the hand, the pointer finger knuckle, and the baby finger knuckle, spreading that weight out, and then lean forward into your hands so that the fingers grip onto the mat and then release back. So again, leaning forward, feeling that way that the weight can shift into the hands, and then your fingers can push you back, right? So the weight comes into the fingers, we lean in, and then through the hands, as my hands are trying to push off, they push forward and the weight goes back. Good, one more. Leaning in, activate those fingers to push back. Excellent. Turn the fingers now out to the sides. So we have the right fingers pointing out to the right side, the left fingers pointing out to the left. In the same way, I'm gripping down into the floor, trying to squeeze the floor with my hands. I lean my weight into my right hand and then push with my right hand so it goes to the left side. And then I can push with my left hand so it goes to the right, feeling the way the body weight shifts from side to side. Activating through the hands. Good. And then back through center. This time we're going to walk the fingers back to face the knees to the degree that you can create that engagement. Activate in the fingers and then sit back towards your heels. So maybe that just straightening the arms and leaning back a little while is your edge. That's great. If you can start to peel the palms of the hands off, you can start to feel that weight shift and the stretch come to the extensors. And then back to center. And then turning the backs of the hands down. So you may find that bringing the hands in closer to the knees makes that more comfortable or potentially able to be done. The farther your arms come out, the more weight comes into them, the more difficult of a position this is. So find a place that feels like you could hang out there and press your fingernails down into the floor. As you do so, you may be able to lean back slightly, but always staying in that place of feels good. No pinchy, no tight, no electric. Nothing that gives you the feeling or sensation that you're doing something wrong in your body, something that's hurting your body. And then coming back to center. The hands come back down, sit back towards your heels. Interlace the fingers and start to roll around a little bit in the wrist, just like easing out in those wrists, a few circles in the opposite direction. Good, and then reach those arms out long, interlacing the hands, press the palms forward, round the back. Good, and then coming back to center, releasing your hands back down at your sides, coming down onto hands and knees. This time, keeping the knuckles right where the fingers meet the hand. So the knuckles that are in the palm part of our hand, those are gonna stay down. And then in this tabletop position, can you push down to lift the palm and the heel of the hand off the floor and then slowly lower it back down? So again, we can do this from a tabletop position. We can walk the hands in a little closer. We really want to think about, how do I push down into my hands to create a lift? How do I push down to create a lift? 2 more like that. If you're finding that these are pretty easy, you could do this from a plank position as well. And then releasing the hands back on tabletop position. So we've got the hands and the wrists really warmed up and ready to go for our arm balances. Now moving this up into the shoulders, allowing the shoulder blades to come together, and then the shoulder blades move away from each other. See if you can do that with your belly drawing in. The shoulder blades come together. The shoulder blades move away from each other. So if you do that from a seated position, when you're squeezing your shoulder blades together, they come in. When you push your shoulder blades away from each other, they kind of move away. They come like around the rib cage as you press. So the same idea now with weight bearing on that hands and knees. You can press a few, or you can do these from a plank position, making sure that you're not moving from the hips. It's staying in the shoulder blades. Good. Next time you push the ground away, keep that. See if you can push the ground away and take those shoulders down your back as you press and pull your belly in. So now we're trying to get the serratus muscle, the muscle that holds that position, to stay engaged and to get its lowest fibers really activating to hold those shoulder blades down and around in the body. Good. Tucking your toes under, push the ground away. See if you can lift your knees off the ground. Hold. Lean a little weight forward into your hands. Resist. And then back to center. Release the knees down. Good. Again, like that. Pressing the hands down. Feel the shoulder blades engage. Lift the knees up off the floor. Lean forward. And then back through center. Releasing the knees back down onto the floor. One more time. Push the ground away. Pull your belly in. Lift the knees. Lean into your hands. Come back to center. And release back down. Excellent. Sit back towards your heels. A child's pose. Take those hands out nice and long out in front of you. Interlace the fingers. Make a few little circles in the wrists. Maybe some figure eights. And then walking the elbows forward, bring the hands behind your head in a prayer position. Walk the elbows forward and together, sitting the hips back as much as you can, feeling a stretch maybe through the triceps and the lats. And then taking the hands back down onto the earth. Grounding the palms down, coming up, tabletop position, lift the hips, downward facing dog. Now you can allow your hips to create a little movement in downward facing dog, rocking them from side to side. Maybe you bend one knee and straighten the other, taking time to pedal out in the feet. Still pushing the ground away and keeping those shoulder blades moving away from each other as you press the ground away and reach the hips up, getting as long as you can. Good. Now start to walk the feet forward towards your hands, pushing the ground away. And as you walk forward, lean into those fingers, squeeze into the ground just like we practiced. And then inhale, halfway lift. It doesn't matter if you make it all the way to the top of the mat or not. Release the chest, forward fold. And then on your next inhale, rising all the way up to standing. Reach up, find a little back bend, stretch. And then exhale, forward fold. Hands back down onto the floor. Ground the palms down. Feel the way that the fingers grip the mat. Lean forward into the hands. Keeping that. See if you can step the right foot back. And then the left foot back. Good. Lower down. Chaturanga Dandasana. The elbows bend. Inhale, lifting. Upward facing dog or tall cobra. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Draw them down the back. Good. Exhale back. Downward facing dog. Each one of these postures is important to hold as it's teaching the body different things that it will need for arm balancing. So don't be afraid to spend an extra breath in any one of these positions. If it feels like you're rushing it, chances are it's really hard for you. So see if you can stay a little longer.
Walking the feet forward towards the hands. Grip the mat. Resist with the hands as the feet say, please let me up closer. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Once again, inhale, rise all the way up to standing, reach up, find a little back bend stretch. And then exhale, forward fold, hands down to the earth, straightening in the legs. Inhale, half lift, and then place the palms down. Grip into that mat, push the ground away, lean forward. Keep all of that grip. This time, let's step the left foot back and then the right foot back. Hold in that plank position. Lift the shoulder blades away from each other. The back of the heart lifts up to the sky. Pushing forward, lower down. Now, Chaturanga Dandasana. Can you hold there? Inhale, lifting, upward facing dog or tall cobra. Exhaling back, downward facing dog. Pressing the ground away, feeling the shoulder blades move away from each other. 3 more breaths. Good. On an inhale, walking the feet up towards the hands. Keep resisting, resisting, resisting. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise all the way up to standing. Reach your arms up overhead, a little back bend. And then exhale, forward fold, hands down. Inhale, half lift, lengthen the spine. Exhale, forward fold, placing the hands down. Lean forward, lean forward, lean forward. Step or jump it back to plank Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, lifting upward facing dog or tall cobra. Exhaling back, downward facing dog. Shaking your head, yes. Shaking the head, no. You can take a nice big breath in and then sigh it out. Big breath in. Exhale, sigh it out. One more time, big breath in. Exhale, sigh it out. Walking the feet up now towards the hands. Press the ground away. Press, press, press. And then on an inhale, half lift. Separate the feet hips distance apart if they're not already. Exhale, forward fold. On an inhale, rising all the way up to standing, reaching up, finding that back bend at the top of the movement. And returning your hands back to heart center. This time, inhale, bending the knees. Sit your butt low. Keep those knees right in line with the toes. As the butt sits back, you draw the low belly in, and then reach out long through the hands, and maybe just look out through your fingers. Good, and you look with the eyes. Keep the back of the neck long. 2 more breaths. You're holding that position. See if you can make those shoulder blades come around the rib cage, pinkies together. And then exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Grounding the palms down, stepping back. Lean that weight forward into the hands. Resist as you lower. Chaturanga Dandasana or all the way to the floor. Inhale, lifting, upward facing dog or tall cobra. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Taking the right leg, lift it up in the air, 3-legged down dog, bend the knee, open the hip, and pull your heel towards your butt. So that squeezing of your heel towards your butt, that's your hamstrings. See if you can get those engaged. But then stepping the right foot through between your hands. On an inhale, rising, high lunge. With high lunge, the back heel, rather than sinking back towards our back leg, see if you can lift it up really high. Bend deeply into the right knee and try to tuck your tailbone under slightly. Good. So with that feeling of pulling in from the low belly, press the right heel straight down into the floor and then see if you can drag it back to try to get those hamstrings, the undersides of the thigh engaged. Good. And then bring both hands to the front knee. Press that right heel straight down and back a little bit, activating in the back of the body. Round your spine like cat pose. Push away from your knee. Pulling your low belly in, take those arms out in front of you like you're holding a big beach ball. Keeping those shoulder blades around you. Start to lift those arms up. Keeping your abs in and preventing the back from arching to do this. Keep those shoulders strong. And then exhale the hands back down. Good, straightening in the front leg. You can hop step the back foot in a little bit. And then reaching your right hip back, your chest out over the left leg, or the right leg. Keeping that slight bend into the knee. Reaching your chest out. Keeping the sides of the body long. If you have a block, you can use the block to place your hands on. And that helps to lift the body up a little higher. There's no shame in the game. We do what we need to do to make sure we have the space we need. So now we'll take that left hand on or outside of the right leg. You can also place it up on a block. Pressing down, reach the spine long. Turn your chest towards the right side of the mat. And then take your right arm up towards the sky. Squeeze your inner thighs together. Good, come on back through center. Both hands down. Bending into the right knee, step back, a plank position. Pushing forward, off your toes, lowering down, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, lifting, upward facing dog or tall cobra. Exhaling back, downward facing dog. This time our left leg lifts up into the air, three-legged down dog. Bending the knee, pull your heel towards your glute as you lift the left hip up. Keep squeezing the heel towards your glutes to activate in the hamstrings as you lift the knee up. And then step the left foot through between the hands. In the same way, rising up to a high lunge where the back heel is lifted. The tailbone is tucking under and the low belly draws in. Keeping the bend in the front knee. Squeezing those legs in towards each other. Pressing that left heel down and drag it back. Seeing if you can keep all of those engagements as you bring your hands to the front knee. Rounding the spine as much as you can. Pulling the low belly in, push the ground away. The shoulder blades move around the body. Pressing and hold all of that there. As you do, can you reach the arms out in front of you, keeping the belly drawn in. Breathe. Keep the legs active. Start to take those arms up towards the sky, only as much as you can maintain those abdominal engagements. And then exhale back down to the floor. Grounding the palms down. Step back. Oh, I'm sorry. Left foot stays forward. Straightening the legs. You needed this pyramid pose here. Straightening in the front leg. Reaching the chest out over. Adjust your stance as you need. So the back foot can hop in. Pull the left hip back. Reach the chest out. Find length in the body. You can bring your hands onto a block or blocks that helps lift the chest. Mindful not to hyperextend or overdo the straightening in the right leg, the left leg. We find like maybe a little micro bend. Ask the thigh to support the knee in this position. Bringing the block or your hand outside of the left foot. Part one, we press down, and that press down helps us rise up. That's a really important concept in order to arm balance. We press down to lift, turning in the chest, and then maybe reaching your left arm up towards the sky, holding here. And releasing back down. Taking both hands outside of the left foot. Step the left foot back. A plank position. Pushing the ground away, lower down. Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, lifting, upward facing dog or tall cobra. Exhaling back. Downward facing dog. And walking your feet now up towards your hands. Pressing the ground away. Keep the feet hips distance apart. Lean forward into the hands a bit. Maybe you can come up onto your tippy toes. Keep pushing the ground away, letting your head hang down. Push, push, push. Feel the shoulder blades around the rib cage. Lowering the heels down. Bend into the knees. Take the fingers around the big toes. Thumbs lock over the top. And the knees are bent so that my chest can rest on the thighs. Good. Keeping the chest against the thighs, I work towards straightening my legs, leaning my weight forward into my tippy toes. Pulling the big toe up with my fingers, the big toe pressing back down. Keeping that feeling of opposition going to create the length that I like to feel. On an inhale, halfway lift, lengthen the spine. Exhale and forward fold. This time the palm of the hand faces up. I'm going to walk those toes all the way up towards my wrist and bending in my knees enough that I can feel the weight shift into my toes and draw the crown of the head down. Now I can try to pull my hands out from underneath my feet, but my feet are holding tight and won't let them go. Now you can wiggle your toes a little bit, press into the baby toe side, the big toe side. Give a little massage to your hands. And then releasing. Hands come back down onto the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale and forward fold. On your next inhale, rising all the way up to standing, reaching those arms up overhead, a little back bend. And then exhaling the hands back to heart center. Taking the feet and separating them, you can find that block, maybe to sit back on. So our feet are going to separate a little wider than hips distance apart. We're going to sit down into a malasana squat so that you're sitting down maybe onto the block, using your elbows to press the knees away. If you feel like that's too high, you can turn the block down to a different level, or you can take the block out entirely, but keep your heels down. Good. So now, first things first, let's get the hands. So can you press the shoulder blades around your rib cage so your back is rounded? And then bringing your hands in front of you, bring your wrist down in line with your elbows. So they're not up here by your face. We're drawing them back down so they're in line just like we would in chaturanga. Squeeze your inner thighs into your elbows. Push your elbows into your inner thighs. Round the back and hold. You find that feeling. This is basically your arm balance in a malasana squat. Good, and then release. Let's try that back on our backs. So if you come to lie down on the mat. Good. Bringing the knees into your chest, kind of like a happy baby pose. We're going to bring those elbows inside the knees and curl up. So I'm really engaging my abdominal muscles to pull in and up, squeezing in the inner thighs, connecting to your pelvic floor. Bring those elbows on the inside, make the hands strong like you were pushing the ground away, and then squeeze the legs together. Push the ground away and hold. And then take your head maybe back to neutral. And then release back down onto the floor. That's really good stuff. The core strength that comes from the inner thighs squeezing in, lifts up into the pelvic floor, engages through your abdominals, and brings the arm all the way through, connecting it to your oblique muscles, which draw both sides of your rib cage in and down. So we've got our arms. We've got our abdominal muscles. We'll try that one more time. Bringing the knees into the chest. The hands reach between the knees. Pull your hips up. Pull your ribs down. Squeeze the inner thighs to the elbows. Push the ground away. And find that position to hold. Hold. Can you bring your heels together? Squeeze in your inner thighs. Evert in the feet. Baby toes lifting up. Squeeze. And then release back down onto the floor. Whew. All right. So that action of pulling in that we did in low lunge, that action of pulling in and rounding,
that we felt in Malasana, and then again here on our back, maybe more intensely, gives us the support that we're going to need to start leaning into those hands for our arm balance. So before we do that, coming up to stand, rooting down into your feet. So if we were to balance like a tree pose, we don't take weight from both feet and just try to lift one up, because we might be able to hold it for a second, especially if we try it a few times, but without the weight leaning, there's no way to get us onto the other leg, the standing leg. So in your arm balance, what you have, just like you do in your feet, we first have to lean into the base of support, which this time will be the hands. Then we draw the other limb that's unnecessary, in this case the feet, up and in. In your one-legged pose, you're pressing down through one leg to stay lifted. And the more you accentuate that press down, the easier the lift starts to get. So coming back down to center, let's go to the other side. So noticing when you stand, weight on both legs. In order to balance on only one leg, we first have to shift the weight. Then we draw the other unnecessary limb up off the floor. The limb that we're standing on, we press it down to lift up. The same exact thing is going on in your arm balance. One last thing, if you can come to your back, get it pretty close to a wall, maybe a door, something nearby. Separating your feet about hips distance apart. You can bring your heels maybe 3 or 4 inches off the wall, and then forward fold. And you may need to bend your knees to do so. Maybe you got to walk those feet even further away from the wall to get your hands towards the earth. And then walk the heels back so that they're against the wall. And then start to walk the hands back. And you'll start to notice this gripping of the toes in order to hold yourself in this position. The toes are doing everything they can from having you flip over. So that idea of squeezing or gripping with the toes is exactly how your hands will work. Coming on back up. Let's do this on our hands. So if you have that block, and I had said maybe a cushion, I think in the description, there is this fear that you're going to fall on your face. A lot of people have that fear, like, oh no, what if I fall on my face? And if your fingers are your brakes and they're not ready for it, you might. So if it makes you feel more comfortable to have a little pillow cushion out in front of you, you can bring it, okay? But think that if this is the safety, we don't want to use it. We're just leaving it there as a nose to face to floor kind of thing. A little cushion in between the two. But ideally, right, we shouldn't be using that. So if you have a block or some sturdy surface to bring your feet up on, you can bring your feet up on that sturdy surface, bend your knees out to the side and pull your heels together. Bringing the hands down onto the earth. If they're too close, we won't be able to get the feet up off the ground because we're stuck. We have to take the hands out far enough that we can lean the weight into the hands and squeeze your knees into your arms. Activating the fingers, push the ground away. Find the shoulders, the wrists, the hands, the belly, and then come back to center and release down. Take a little break. Hopefully that was a confidence builder for you to see what it's like to shift the weight into the hands. If you don't have a block, the same idea, we can just come down into that Malasana squat, bring the hands down, squeeze the knees against the elbows, lean forward, and as you squeeze, you can find the same position. And then come back to center. Now, in order to keep stepping this up further and further, just like we did in standing, there's no reason to jump up into a balance. Take your time, move slowly, and give it 3 solid goes. So this may take everybody a different amount of time. You take the time to give yourself 3 solid goes where your hands grip down, your knees squeeze in, your body weight leans forward into those hands. Can you pull one heel up and maybe the other heel up, pushing the ground away, pulling the belly in, and then releasing back down. So notice in this arm balance, working towards arm balances, I'm not having you stack up on top of your triceps. Sometimes we learn to do that in the beginning to find that feeling of stacking one over the other. That will make it feel easier to hold. But the idea of squeezing in with your inner thighs, once you get more comfortable with that and you start to get up higher up onto the triceps, still squeezing in, we can take a knee away and bring it back. And that feeling of squeezing in and pushing down, once you create it in your foundation, can continue to build up to more and more advanced options for you later. So I'm teaching you this way because I want you to build slowly the strength and body awareness you need, not to be able to just do a crow pose, but to take it on for more and more arm balances. Let's try that one more time. If you have it, if you already did your 3 goes, take a rest. If you have one more in you, lean hands down. Find the way the weight shifts forward, squeeze the knees together, pull the heel in, and then release back down. Great job. Take those hands, do a little roll them out the opposite way, and then come back to sit down on the mat. Extend your legs out long. Good. Turning those hands to face the hands go back behind you about 6 inches. I like my fingers to face towards my butt. If you like to turn your fingers out, that's fine too. Finding a place where you can press the hands down, and this time squeeze the shoulder blades together. Take the soles of the feet, one and then the other, down into the floor. Squeeze your glutes and lift up in the hips. So as you press your hips forward, maybe your head drops back. Maybe it doesn't. Keep squeezing those shoulder blades together, lifting. And then releasing back down. We'll do one more like that with the feet in tabletop. Or if you prefer, you can take your legs out long, pressing down into the hands, squeeze the legs together, press the toes down, and lifting up for a reverse plank. Again, you can let the head drop back or keep it in close. Keep pushing the ground away, lifting in the glutes. And then releasing back down to the floor. Giving those arms and wrists a break. Finding a series of forward folds. On an inhale, reach both arms up. As you exhale, forward fold out towards your toes. Think about reaching your chest forward out long. And as you exhale, forward folding. Relax any tension in the neck or the shoulders. Taking 2 more deep breaths. On an inhale, coming all the way back up to center. Bringing the soles of the feet together. The knees out wide. Drawing those heels in as close as you like. Inhale, tall spine. Exhale, folding forward out over the legs. You can use your elbows to kind of press those knees down, keeping the chest leaning forward. Relax any tension in the neck. Coming back up to center, nice and tall. Extend the right leg out long. Keep your left leg in close. Inhale, turn your chest out towards the right leg. And then exhale, forward fold. On an inhale, come back to center. Take the left hand back behind you. Pressing that left hand down. Rolling the shoulder blade in and back. So externally rotating that shoulder, holding there. Reach the right arm up, the hips up. Stretch long from the right fingers down through the right toes. Nice and slow, returning back through center. Good, and then bringing that right leg across, the left leg across the right leg. Holding nice and tight. Bring that left hand down behind you. Turn to look over your left shoulder. You can use your arm to pull that leg in a little tighter. And then the elbow outside the knee. Tall spine. Exhale and rotate. Good, come on back through center. Counter twisting, opposite direction. And then back through center. This time taking that left knee out to the left side. So the ankle, the left ankle is over the right knee. Sitting up nice and tall, big inhale. Exhale, folding forward, out over a long right leg. You can use anything to support this left knee up in space. You can use your hand or to place a block underneath it. Always reaching the chest out towards the toes on the inhale. And exhaling, surrendering. Balancing the strength and the ease of the pose. Can you find a little more strength on the inhales, reaching out? On your exhales, balancing that with the ease and the ability to let go. On your inhale, coming back up to center, nice and tall, extending the left leg out long. Good, bringing the right knee into the chest, give it a hug. And then opening up the right knee out to the right side. Sitting up tall, big inhale, turn the belly over the left leg. Exhale, forward fold. Every inhale, lengthening out a little further. Every exhale, softening. On an inhale, coming back up to center. Bringing that right leg in and crossing the right foot over the left leg. Squeeze it in, draw it in as close as you can. Pressing down through the sit bones, tall through the crown of your head. Left elbow outside the right knee. Right hand comes down, inhale, tall spine. Exhale and rotate. Inhale, long spine. Exhale and rotate. One more time, inhale, tall spine. Exhale, rotating. And then coming back through center. And taking that left leg, placing the left ankle over the right ankle over the left knee. You can use that block or the hand again to support the right leg out in space. Big inhale. And then exhale, forward folding over the left leg. Every inhale, lengthening and reaching the chest out a little further. Every exhale, surrendering, softening down. Coming back up to center, nice and tall. And extending both legs out long. Shaking out in the feet. Turning your palms up towards the sky. And if you need, you might want to scoot forward a little bit on your mat. Make sure you have enough space behind you to go down. We can bring the soles of the feet down as well to help stabilize the legs. From here, we're going to try to open up the pelvis so it rocks back. The pelvis rocks back, the feet stay down. And we're trying to move the hip bone away from the thigh bone as your belly draws in. The shoulders, again, roll them away from your ears. See if you can create that engagement in the serratus one more time as you lower yourself down, one vertebrae at a time, back down onto the mat. Great job. Scooting forward, getting yourself situated on the mat. Place the soles of the feet down. Lifting up into your bridge pose. As the feet press down, the knees move forward. Squeeze the glutes and lift up. If you can here, bringing the hands down alongside the body or seeing if you can lift the shoulders to bring those shoulders underneath you. Interlacing the fingers, pressing the pinky fingers down into the floor. Squeezing in the glutes, lifting the hips up. Comfortable in the neck. Weight into the shoulders. Press through the feet, squeeze the glutes, lift up a little higher if you can. And then releasing the hands. Start to lower back down. Your hips to the floor. One more time. Pressing down into the feet. Send the knees forward. Lift the hips up. Interlacing the fingers underneath you. See if you can get those shoulders a little further together and down the back. Pressing through the feet, squeezing in the glutes. Finding your bridge pose. Inner thighs squeeze, butt squeezes. That's sometimes hard to do both of those at the same time, but really try. Stabilizing all the way around the hips. And then releasing the hands. Slow lower the rest of the body back down to the floor. Bringing your right leg into your chest. Send the left leg out nice and long. And pull that right knee up and out to the right side. You can bring your hand to the outside of the foot. See if you can find that opposition. The right leg bent, the sole of the foot facing the ceiling, the left leg extended out long. And then bringing the left hand outside of that right foot or the ankle or the shin and guide that leg across the body. Maybe extending and reaching out through the heel. Long spine. Press through both feet. Reach through both hands. Maybe turn your head out over your right shoulder. Coming back through center. The right knee into the chest. The right foot back down onto the floor. Bringing the left leg into the chest. Extend your right leg out long. Holding that left knee into the chest and maybe outside the rib cage. Pulling it up towards your chest and down towards the floor.
The sole of the foot turning up towards the ceiling. You can grab a hold of that foot on the baby toe side or the big toe side and draw it down. Keeping that right leg reaching out long. And then bringing that leg, the right hand reaches for the left baby toe side or the shin. And we'll guide that left leg across the body. And then maybe you straighten out in that leg, reaching your left hip down. So I'll take my left hand and place it inside that crease of my left leg. And I'll push that hand down to keep that side body long as I reach out through my left heel. And then holding that position in the hip, I can take my left arm out to the left side and look out over my left fingers. A little self-adjustments. This can feel so good. Press through both feet, both arms. Get as long as you can in all directions. And then back through center, the knee into the chest, the foot to the floor. Placing the soles of both feet down. Setting up and preparing for Shavasana. You can lift your hips and lower them. You can allow the knees to fall together. Maybe you want to extend your legs back out nice and long. You can pick your hips up and reset them as well. And then allowing your body this opportunity that it doesn't have to do anything. Maybe the only time all day today that you don't have to think about anything. And you relax your forehead and your jaw. Wiggle those shoulders underneath you. The feet falling open. Giving yourself this opportunity to let go. Beginning to breathe life back into your fingers and your toes. Wiggle a little bit in the wrists and the ankles. Reach your arms overhead. Stretch yourself out, fingers to toes. Press fingers through heels. Stretch, 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 stretch. And then coming to roll over onto your side body. And pressing long through the arms and the legs, rising all the way up to a seated position. Keeping your eyes closed.
Bringing your hands to heart center. Closing our practice together, the sound of Om. Inhale. Om. I thank you all so very much for coming and sharing the practice with me. Namaste.